That's just how it is.
There's a lot of money in gaming, right? And it's a huge industry where these huge companies who have billions and billions of dollars haven't figured out how to solve it. It's not going to get solved, and they want to solve it, obviously, right? But yeah, as far as like the current model of Star Citizen, it's obviously wildly successful. Well, I always try to come back to, like, I was just playing Valheim before we started playing.
Mhm.
Valheim far surpassed the number of backers that Star Citizen has now in its first month. So the argument of Star Citizen being like this huge success, not necessarily from a how much money they bring in. This is what we're, I think, 11th or 12th year, and $650 million is a lot of money. But over the course of that time, it's not that much, in terms of the way a lot of games are being funded these days and how much money they're making, right? So it is very successful, but it is not as successful as people like to point out. Anyway, I am very much of the subscription model family, I guess, but the backlash that this community gives on that is very, very strong. And I don't understand why either, just from the exact same perspective as you. It is the most fair. There's no fairer way to do it than that. It makes the developer focus on the game as much as possible and make the value add is making the game as enjoyable to you, because then your subscription is worth it. And the subscription is a smallish thing, and I don't have to go and buy, or feel like I have to buy, and that's the really important thing, a $500 spaceship in order to build a base. I pay my subscription, I play the game, I build my base, right? Like, these kind of things are not happening in this game and are not going to happen in this game. And then on top of it, just so many other aspects are broken there, with progression and all sorts of things. It drives me absolutely mad that this is the route that we went. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I'm sure but I'm sure but just in case, the original plan was, on release, to no longer sell ships, and it was just going to be funded off of selling gold to players, which is essentially selling ships. It's not that much of a difference. You buy the gold and then you buy the ship in the game, but but then you can lock the purchase of a ship in the game behind reputation or something like that, right? You can't really do that on the website. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember the exact question, I'm not gonna lie, but I am 100% about a subscription model, and then adding a few little things. We know they're going to sell gold. I agree with that, because there's no avoiding it. But I guess the only other call out I can
When
have
you
is, like,
say
play a
selling
free-to-play game.
gold, when you say selling gold, like in
UEC.
terms of a token, well, meaning
UEC.
like, is that coming from a player, or are they then just injecting that UEC into the economy?
Right.
Because the token isn't an injection, like, like a
Fair.
stimulus. It's literally like player A has, like, has money willing to trade for this concept, and then it manages it. That's why, like, for me, I'm not against the Plex token or the WoW token.
Me
I
neither.
get how it can change the game, but the thing is that I always kind of push back. It goes, that's actually what's already happening.
Yeah.
You're just now being able to, do it without risking losing your account. But that is definitely it has been happening over here. And to deny that fact is to deny human nature.
Yeah, it's
ready for this?
The WoW token is problematic. It's just not inflationary.
Yeah.
So, like, if the thing you don't like about it is inflation, it's not doing that. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have problems. Like, they're just different problems.
Check this one out. You have been able to, for nearly the entire game's development, purchase money on the website, and they limit it to a certain amount per week. And there are players who have every week have been purchasing UEC on the website, and then on launch will have millions and millions and millions of credits. What are these guys like? It's just that's Star Citizen in a nutshell.
So, like, I think one of the other things that's kept me away from Star Citizen is when I hear. So, like, I play mobile games. I am a gamer in the general sense of the word. I like MMOs. I like racing games. I like RPGs. I own a Switch. I own a PlayStation. I own an Xbox. Behind me, there's probably 24 different forms of gaming before you even get to the fact that I own Warhammer and Magic the Gathering and all these things. I just like gaming. I told my wife I was a nerd when we were dating. I told her over and over to the point where she thought I was kidding. And a decade into our marriage, she goes, "You really are a nerd." And I was like, "I tried to tell you." She's like, "I thought you were joking." I wasn't. I like games, but that means every game comes with its own con. And so like when I play mobile games, the more fun the mobile game is, the more I'm going to get into it, the more I'm going to find the whales. But when I play Star Citizen, it feels like I found the whales first, and then I haven't yet found the game. And so like, what is the degree people are expected to spend to be like an accepted member of the community? Not like the crazy person. Like I'm in a clan on one of these mobile games, and there are people that spend $300, $400 a paycheck multiple times a month.
Yep.
But to be in my clan, you need to either be an experienced player, which is what I am,
or a grinder,
or up to about, let's say, maybe $15 a month would get you accepted. There are people spending hundreds, but $15, like you're at least part of the group.
Okay.
What is that number for Star Citizen? Just
what's great about that is the entry level $45.
You're welcome. You're not going to get like memed out of the community.
No, because think about it. There in your mobile game, everybody has their base or what, like Clash of Clans area, and you got to build your own stuff up, right? You don't have to build your own stuff up in Star Citizen. Somebody else can be the whale, and in very many cases, the whale plays by himself and has no friends, right? Because this is the internet, right? So that you're just sitting in your room. You don't have any real life friends. Like I don't. I do. I have a few, but not that many. And I don't have enough to crew an Idris, which is a really big ship. So you have this ship, and then people who don't can be a part of that. So that's the one thing of you do not have to spend money. And many creators in the space explain that. The issue is really the FOMO marketing, like mobile game type marketing to people. Like, you need these things. You'll be this awesome thing if you have this awesome ship. It's super pretty or whatever, right? So you feel you need it. You don't need it.
That's where I think they're struggling with a reputation. Because on the outside, what I often hear is, "Did you hear about that game where you put $500 in first?" And then they say the name of the game. The money is the first thing mentioned in the conversation, which then makes you pull back so hard that it's hard to ever want to engage. As somebody that has been around the space, so I always hear Star Citizen, and I'm not a big copium guy, so I don't typically dive into somebody's partial game or beta until somebody's linked me a video for the 20th time.
Where it's a game.
It's like, all right, fine. I'll watch this one video of Steven Sharif saying something crazy about Ashley. And then I'm like, yep, this is why I don't watch the other videos.
I will say this, though. Let's say there's the opposite example of I want to mine today, or I want to salvage today. What they did do is lock the interesting aspects of that behind spaceship gameplay, right? So you can salvage with a hand tool that anybody can get. You can mine with a hand tool that anybody can get, but it's not, what they haven't created is a crafting system, an economy, or anything. So we don't know the value of the we call it like FPS mining or FPS salvage, right? So we don't know the value of actually doing that at this time. But you will have to play the game to get those ships, which are earnable in game with in-game credits. You just play the game. So there's some form of progress. You will find me saying there's no progression in the game often, because I have the ships that are important to me. So the only progression for that $45 player is playing the game, doing some of the missions. Like the mission that is on the screen right now is a very lucrative thing to be doing. And you can do this mission twice and you can get yourself that mining ship. But what will happen is, because the game's in alpha, it wipes. That ship is gone and you got to do it again. And there was somebody who I'd like pick on him a little bit and make fun of him because he was big into the funding stuff. Like, I'm buying this or I want to buy that. And he explained to me, "Mike, I've earned in-game the Prospector 5 times already, which is the mining ship."
Oh, that would be heartbreaking.
Yeah. So he goes, I just bought it. I can't do it anymore. Like,
yeah, no, I get
feel
that.
I've earned it at that point.
Like I've earned ships in Elite Dangerous, and I feel good about them. I don't want to re-earn any of them. Everything about Elite Dangerous was an upward grind. If you ratchet me backwards, I'm just going to uninstall.
Exactly.
EVE Online wasn't fun until I was multiboxing. Like until I was ready to run my own mining crew, where I was my own friends.
Yeah.
And then when we were strip mining together, so we were all in chats, and I had friends that were mining alongside me, or were, you know, and so we were all multiboxing. But it was a handful of us and a lot of ships.
That's awesome.
I found that really fun. I just don't know the Star Citizen model well enough to understand how that fits in there. Like there's so much about Elite Dangerous that I just want to be an MMO, and it just isn't. It's almost like landing in a single player space game. Like I played Elite Dangerous with friends. I have.
It's cool, but it's real cool. It's a single player game.
Very lonely. Which I mean, maybe it's the best representation of space. Like it's very lonely, and its VR support's incredible.
Yeah,
you haven't had your engine shot out in virtual reality and then gone into a tumble. Like I don't get motion sickness on roller coasters